Welcome to the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging meeting, Wednesday, October 20th. We're just a few minutes after 3 o'clock. We'll get started. And Madam Chair, we do have a quorum, so I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thank you. Let's start with introductions. And we'll start with those online first. Kathy, would you start us off? Looks like she's on hold. I'm not sure what that means. So Aaron, we'll move to you. Maybe. Okay, Penny from Park County.
Hello, Penny Everest, Executive Director of Park County Senior Coalition and Commissioner on Aging for Park County.
Great, thank you so much. And Robert, our newly appointed commissioner, welcome to the gang. And would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Bob Foster, Woodland Park. Been involved with Teller County Senior Coalition, currently serve as its president. Also involved with Woodland Park Community Cupboard and meals for the seniors. Lived in and around Colorado Springs all my life, other than college, grad school, and the military, and basically have a hospitality background in education.
Great, thank you, Bob. We're glad you're with us today.
Thank you.
Kathy, are you able to join us? If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Maybe you could put something in the chat to Jared. And Erin, are you there now?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Erin Marizella. I'm appointed by the City of Colorado Springs. I live in Colorado Springs and I serve on the Colorado Commission on Aging and the Colorado Center for Aging as well.
Great, thank you, Erin. Now we'll go to those in the room. We'll start with you, Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn Kasdan. I'm excited to say I'm no longer the new commissioner, right? We have newer people. I'm with El Paso County and I live here in Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs forever, lifelong citizen, and I represent the Colorado Commission on Aging and Age Friendly.
Hi, Phil Stafford, also Colorado Springs native. I'm an accessibility contractor for my company, Independent Home Living, and I sit on Paula's board, A Place Like Home.
And Jody Barker, Area Agency on Aging Director.
Melissa Martz with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging.
Right, thank you. And I am Paula Levy. I am the chair of the Commission on Aging. I have Never Alone Consulting and A Place Like Home Adult Day program, which is soon to be determined. I know I've been saying that for years now, but it will happen. And I'm almost a native since we're going that direction. All right. All right, next are consent items. And we're going to take these items as a whole, unless there's discussion on either one. But we need approval. I'm sorry, we need agenda approval first before we move to the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve this agenda as written?
I approve. A motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any opposed to this motion? Hearing none, motion carries. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Vote carries. Next are the consent items, which we will take as a whole unless there's discussion by a committee member. So we have two sets of minutes. We have minutes from our Commission on Aging meeting that was held on July 16th. And then we have minutes from our meeting that was held on July 22nd to discuss the Homestead Act flyer. And is there a motion to approve those minutes as written?
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
And do we have a second?
Phil
I'll second
Stafford,
it.
I will second that.
It was a tie for the second. Thanks, Penny.
Sure.
And Penny. All in favor of those minutes being approved as written, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 4, we have public comments, presentations, and I do believe we do have someone from PPACG to give a public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have Dolly Moncada, who is our volunteer program manager, has requested a couple moments during public comments.
Sorry. I have a very loud carrying voice. I thought it was on. My apologies. Thank you so much for letting me speak to you all today. I am here to spread the word about an initiative that the Area Agency on Aging has taken on. We have put together, along with the Security Fire Department, some safety classes for older adults in the Security and Widefield area. We put together some free fall prevention classes that will be given to us by UC Health, as well as 4 different emergency preparedness classes for older adults. These will cover the topics individual preparedness, evacuation readiness, power outage response, and what to do with pets in a disaster. We are really looking forward to putting this together. We'll also be organizing volunteers to help older adults replace the batteries in their smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors, and we'll also be giving out brand new ones for anybody who needs a replacement one. So we'll have volunteers going into the older adults' homes to help them with that for anyone who is signed up. We have flyers in the public libraries as well as the Fountain Valley Senior Center in that area. I have also shared it digitally with staff members, and we can definitely pass that along to you folks. I strongly encourage you share far and wide with your different networks. We're hoping for a really good turnout and really getting our foot in the door to working with the older adults of that specific area, getting a little bit of an introduction into what it's like to serve them, what are the challenges, what are their needs, and how can we make an impact there.
So I have a question. Is it strictly for people in the Security Widefield area, the classes, or are those open to seniors who might be close to that border of Security Widefield, or can any senior attend?
That's a great question, and these classes will be open to anybody who is interested. We won't be excluding anybody from the classes, depending on where they live. All will be included. We are just looking forward to targeting that area and working with the fire department down there. They were generous enough to host us. They'll also be doing Fire Prevention Week during that time frame as well. So anybody in that area may see a combo of our flyer and their marketing material for that initiative too.
I have another question. Would this be something that you would roll out to other areas of town?
Absolutely. If we find success with this, we would love to expand, and that would go for any program that we're looking to put together through our volunteer program. The goal would be to have as wide of a reach as possible and to try and fit any niche need out there and support programs like the fall prevention class that UC Health puts together, just getting everybody connected. So yes, that would be a dream.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else have questions for Dolly? Online, anyone?
I have, it's maybe more of a comment than a question. This is Penny. The senior center is preparing to move into their new location. And that may be a really important collaboration for celebrating their new opening in a redone space, and then also a timely serving of community interest. So if that's something, I would be happy to connect when appropriate with Tom Lathrop, because that's exactly what their mission is to support public awareness.
That would be amazing. I know we're all really looking forward to the opening of the senior center. We've been definitely abuzz with their opening. It's going to be exciting, and I would love to get material in front of people because I know we'll have an influx of attention because everybody's been really looking forward to it. So that would be great. Thank you.
Builds on what you already seem to be focusing on, and that's the focus on neighborhoods. Certainly the neighborhood, the physical neighborhood of the senior center, but also just the fact that people come in from other neighborhoods. So it could be a good central communication point. So I will happily do that.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I appreciate
I
it.
have a question too. If people are interested in volunteering to assist with the replacement of the smoke alarm batteries, how would they connect?
So they can call the same phone number that will be on the flyers, as well as on our website. We have www.ppacg.org/volunteer. And we have currently all of the different volunteers that we're looking for, including that one. And feel free to let anybody who's interested know that we're very flexible. We'll get all of the information in advance for the who, what, when, where, why of it all. We'll provide material. So if you've got somebody who's interested, we will handle all of the planning and correspondence, and we'll work with people's availability as well.
And I know a question from the seniors are going to be, who are these volunteers and are they trustworthy if they're going to be in my house?
Absolutely. Any volunteer that's going to be entering the homes of older adults will have a background check run in advance, as well as a specific type of background check called CAPS, which is to specifically catch any reported elder abuse specifically. So both of those will be run by any volunteer that we'll be sending in advance.
Right.
And likely what we'd like to do is partner a volunteer up with a staff member. So for safety, they'll be coupled up and won't be going blindly into another individual's home for safety on both sides. So that's a little bit of what we're planning to do is a volunteer has an afternoon and a staff member will make sure that the background check is run in advance, but then schedule around the volunteer and the older adults' availabilities. Make a plan to head over there and bring the material along with us to change it out.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. I
Great
really
program.
appreciate your time, folks. Thank you so much.
Moving on.
I'm going to set these flyers just right on the table here, but I do also have it in a digital copy that can be sent out to the group as well.
Great. Moving on to number 5, action items. I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, but Melissa sent out a email about all the good work that the commissioners have been doing. I don't know if this is the place or if I should save that for the board report.
Save it, because
Save it.
this is specifically actionable that requires a vote.
Okay. So do we have we have no action items. Okay. Moving on to membership committee under item 6. Erin, do you have a membership committee report? And we do have some action under membership committee.
Yes, I'm very happy to report. Of course, everyone noticed that Bob is here joining us for his first official meeting with our commission as our newest commissioner. So welcome again, Bob. And we are in the process of getting a nominee from, I believe, the town of Monument. Specifically, she lives in that area. Her name is Erin. She works for Silver Key, and she reached out about connecting with, work going on in our region and how she could get more involved than simply the work that she does at Silver Key. So we've been, Melissa and I, together in communication with her and in communication with the appointing body up there in Monument. And I believe that by our next commissioner meeting, she should be up and running and ready to go. Melissa, do you have any more update other than that?
So if all goes well, the Town of Monument City Council meeting that's prior to this meeting will actually vote her in as the appointee, and then they'll send on a letter. And when we get that letter, that will help. So don't know when that letter will come. We'll just keep an eye out for it. But that's the plan. So at this time.
Yes, I'm very excited. One person a month. This is great. And I'm excited to have Erin join us. She's going to be, along with Bob, a wonderful addition to the commission.
Right. Well, great work, Erin. And now we have Penny 1, Penny 2, Erin 1, Erin 2. So we'll have to keep it all straight. All right. Next is under 6B, jurisdiction reports updates. And the first item is Park County.
That would be me, right? For the Senior
Yes.
Coalition?
Mhm.
Okay, very good. Well,
Thank
it's
you.
been an incredibly busy summer, and it finally came to a halt last week, and we were at the tractor pull in Lake George. Carolyn had joined me. It was lovely to have her join us. That was a lot of fun, I'll tell you that. And tractor pull is hanging in there. It's not as busy as it used to be, but hopefully it'll start building back up. And all the other ones we did were the Park County Fair. We spent 2 days there. That was a lot of fun. Talked to a lot of people, gave away a lot of good stuff. We did Borough Days, which was unbelievably fun. And then we did Hartselle Days. That is a very funky town and a lot of fun there. You could just be yourself. So that's it for Park County for right now.
And Penny, this is Melissa. Do you want to
Yes.
share a little bit how it went when you presented to the Park County Commissioners? So part of the appointee process is having our appointees do, an update with their jurisdiction that appointed them. And so you were fortunate enough to get that time in front of your Park County Commissioners. Do you want to share a little bit how that meeting went?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I was horribly nervous because I've not really done this a whole lot. And I kind of read through it a little bit fast, but I thought that we got the message across and some people had some questions and we were able to answer that. And then I gave a presentation the following day on Park County itself, and that went really well, but still nervous. Sorry about that, guys. I'll get better as I go on.
Thanks, Penny. Did they have any questions for you or any other comments, the commissioners themselves?
Couple of questions, and unbelievably complimentary to what we had the Alliance people come on, the Senior Alliance in Bailey, and come talk about what they're doing, and we can show exactly how we really fit right together and how this is just moving forward to really help all of the seniors in Park County. Well, they're going to have a Gold Rush party on, I think it's in September, and that's coming up, and that's at the Glen Isle.
Thanks. Does anybody else have questions for Penny or comments?
I
Okay,
just
next.
want to say, Penny, I would like to say that I'm so happy that you were able to get out there, and I'm sure that you did a wonderful job. And I think that it is very valuable for our appointing bodies to know who we are and what we do. And that, I mean, I know that it takes a lot of work. I know it takes a lot of work to get it together and to schedule it and to build those relationships. So thank you so much for taking the time to go and be there.
Thank you very much for the kind words.
Next is a report from the Colorado Springs jurisdiction.
Which I have that on there, but I'm not sure we have anything there. And so Aaron, it's been a while, I don't know. I know you attended a housing piece. I know that in a little bit on the agenda, we're going to have a conversation about age friendly and the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging. But I don't know that there's any formal jurisdiction update, but you might have attended something that I was tracking and I just don't remember.
I'm not sure that I haven't attended anything necessarily with the city. I have been unable to connect with the city council on the status of the work of the Alzheimer's Association in Colorado Springs. But I continue to send reports that I get from the state and from other entities along to the city council members there as they come along. Yeah, but I think that the jurisdiction report there might be just left over from last month. Do you think, Melissa?
For now, we'll move along and say that's fine. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. I should have noticed it. I cruised right over it when I was looking at the agenda. So thank you.
I just have a quick question, Aaron. What kind of information are you looking for from City Council regarding the Alzheimer's Association? I'm just curious.
We had a question from one of the city council members about how Alzheimer's is being tracked and treated and what are the numbers in the city and how to best connect people to mental health resources related to people living with Alzheimer's. So I have been working with the Alzheimer's Association to attempt to get a meeting with interested parties from the city council. I know that it's not necessarily a specific city priority. And so, we just every couple months or so, we reach out and we say that we're available to meet if they're interested, and just kind of continuing to connect them to whatever we have that's new. And I'm hoping that they are, at least it's sort of raising their awareness. And if something comes up that they want to connect to, they'll have that available to them.
That's great. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, of course.
Next is item C, Policy Committee. And the first is the Colorado Center for Aging report.
I don't have any update here at all. And so I don't know, again, if Erin has anything from her side on the Colorado Center for Aging. In a little bit, we'll have some overlap when we start to talk about the document the position paper that was created by our housing work group. There'll be some more conversation, but I don't have any specific item on the Colorado Center for Aging. Erin, do you have anything, any updates from them?
Just that we had our board retreat last month, and we will be getting our new strategic plan by the end of September and then implementing in October. So to watch for a change in how the advisory committee meeting or the advocacy committee meetings work starting next legislative session in January. And there is a new nonprofit that is being set up by Next 50. And for those who are not aware, Well, for those who are not aware of what Next 50 is, they are one of the primary funders of aging nonprofits in the US, and they're based in Denver. And they have given money to start a nonprofit. So it's not going to be within their organization, but they're funding the work to get off the ground. And it is going to be for advocacy related specifically to economic security for older adults, because they noticed that we have nonprofits and we have social impact work around economic security in Colorado, and we have nonprofits and social impact work around Colorado, but there's no one organization that is doing both of those things. So in alignment with the multi-sector plan on aging, in alignment with the goals of the governor of the state of Colorado, and sort of a, large scale idea and goal that Colorado, it should be affordable to get older in Colorado. They are setting up this nonprofit that is going to it's going to focus on advocacy for older adults, specifically looking at economic security. So it's a little bit of overlap with what we do at the Colorado Center for Aging. And I'm really excited for that new executive to get working, because I think that the opportunity for impact is going to be really impressive with our ability, in the aging and older adult space, to connect outside of aging and older adult work with the way that that advocacy role is organized. So I think they're starting in October. We're kicking off our new strategic plan in October, and lots of good things to come.
Great. Thank you, Erin. Next, we have Jared at the podium ready to give our legislative committee report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jared Verner, Public Policy and Communications at PPACG. A lot has changed since the last time we met. Most notably is that the state will be holding a special session starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. There's a couple of things included in this special session, but the biggest one that is getting the biggest attention is the budget component. And so the state budget offices, the governor and the legislative have identified that because of the impacts of H.R. 1, specifically the tax revenue impacts, the state of Colorado is facing anywhere from about right now $700 to $800 million in the current fiscal year that they need to make up in some way. The reason for that is because Colorado tax code is very similar to federal tax codes. We're one of a handful of states where that is the case. And so it isn't a impact of expenses in terms of, there's a lot of discussion as HR 1 is going through about Medicaid and SNAP. That's about future costs and what the state is going to do. This is about revenue coming in from tax changes. So that's what the state is going to have to start doing starting at about 10 a.m. tomorrow. A special session has to take, just from the process from when a bill is introduced to when it is passes both chambers, 3 days. That's the minimum. We are expecting it to take longer than that. How much longer, I don't know, but it is expected. Again, we start tax code. That is not the simplest of processes to fix. We are expecting to go straight through. And what I mean by that is because it starts on a Thursday, there was discussion, is the legislature going to take Saturday and Sunday off? That is not what we're hearing. We're hearing that they will start Thursday and just go until it's finished. Some things to keep in mind, and because it starts tomorrow, we won't see actual bill text until tomorrow when they're filed. We're starting to get some drafts that have been leaked is not the right word, but have been posted by various members. The Colorado House Republicans have released all of their bills, for example, that their members are prime sponsors on. We're starting to see a couple come through various sources. Something to keep in mind that each of the 100 members of the legislature is entitled to introduce one bill if they'd like to. Every bill does get some form of public testimony. Now, how long that public testimony is up to the rules that they set for the special session. But there will be some form of public comment available at the committee level during the first reading in each chamber. While we are expecting possibly up to 100 bills, there's 5 that we're really kind of hearing are going to be the key to the special session. And so I mentioned that the state has about a $700 to $800 million shortfall that they need to address for this current fiscal year. And we're hearing that they're going to be addressing it in thirds, roughly. One of those is going to be the authority to drop the state's statutory limit or the state statutory requirement for the reserve from 15% to 13% of the budget. That's expected to gain them about $200 million. There is a little bit of concern that that reserve is about $2 billion. But there is concern about covering this entire shortfalls almost only from reserves, because if there's any other economic indicators in both the governor's office and the legislative council are planning for a recession at some point, and that's really what that reserve is built for, is for economic downturns. But they're expecting that to gain about $200 million. They're expecting to get another $200 to $250 million through that tax code, specifically the vendor fee and foreign taxes. Don't ask me what any of that means. I just know that's what they're planning to do. And then the last third is going to be coming from a directive for the governor's office to work with the Joint Budget Committee to address the rest of the money through spending cuts in the current fiscal year. The state is already going to be instituting a hiring freeze starting on the 27th of August. And the governor's office has already directed state agencies to cut 2.5% from their current budgets from this current year. How much of that will be addressed through any salary savings by freezing openings, we'll see. That's going to be the most complicated part of what we see, because that isn't something that's going to be addressed during a special session. They're going to put the framework in place because there's a couple mechanisms that the state has in these situations. There's 3 of them. We have not hit 2 of them statutorily, but there's the third one. However, the third one is incredibly broad and doesn't give the mechanism for how that happens, and that's what this bill is supposed to do. We would expect that bill to probably go through. It is sponsored by both the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House, along with a couple other, I believe, Joint Budget Committee members. We're expecting that to start on the Senate side. But like I said, that will just outline the process, and that the governor's office will work with the Joint Budget Committee to address how they're going to find these savings, roughly, like I said, about $250 million. Right now, the way that it's introduced, the governor would only have to consult with the Joint Budget Committee, but could still do whatever he chooses to do. But that is at least something we'll get some insight into that process in terms of what we expect. During the special session itself, we're not expecting anything that would directly impact the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, the Area Agency on Aging, or any of our providers. And so we're still going to keep our attention on what that could look like, but that's kind of what we're hearing so far, is that, again, during the special session itself, we don't expect that. Now, during the Joint Budget Committee process, who knows? Having said that, though, our lobbyists, our lobbying team are very attuned to the aging services, specifically the State Fund for Senior Services, which is what we look at very, very, very closely at the AAA. The Joint Budget Committee staff is not recommending any cuts to the State Fund for Senior Services. Part of the reason for that is because since the last 6 or 7 or 8 years, a while, that fund has not grown. It went up a little bit during the COVID funding, and then it came back down. That funding is essentially the same as it has been for the last 7 or 8 years. And so the Joint Budget Committee staff feel very strongly that if you're looking at the growth of the state budget, it isn't through State Fund for Senior Services. And so that's why we're encouraged by that. The reality is also the State Fund for Senior Services is a relative drop in the bucket in terms of what they have to cut from the state. It's about a $14 million line item, and when you're needing to cut $800 million, that really doesn't get you anywhere. And so that's kind of what we're looking at for the state special session. Federally, Congress is currently in recess. They are expecting to go back for September, for the month of September. We are tracking I'm misremembering. I'm trying to remember the bill title, S-2520, I believe, which is the Older Americans Act reauthorization bill. The board did take a support position on that bill last week, and they are we are expecting it to at least go through the Senate just because it went through the Senate last year. The bill is essentially the same as it's got strong bipartisan support for that particular legislation. Happy to answer any questions, but a little bit more loaded legislative update than usual.
Are there any questions for Jared? That was a lot to swallow. All right, thank you, Jared.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your information. Next is the Colorado Commission on Aging report, and that's Penny Whitney.
Thanks, Madam Chair. It's interesting because the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging meets the day before the Colorado Commission on Aging. So it's sort of a delayed update. But I think looking at the big picture, that the area that we really want to focus on is the multi-sector plan for aging. And Aaron alluded to this earlier. And I think last month we talked a little bit about the State Commission on Aging working committees. I would say if there is one word that characterizes the focus of the Commission on Aging this summer, it's engagement. And that goes back to the multi-sector plan. As you may recall, Aaron identified last month that the working committees, there used to be 3 working committees. Now the state working committees are aligned with the focus areas of the multi-sector plan on aging, or more succinctly called the MPA. And it's important that we know that because it's through these working committees that the work, literally the action of the Commission on Aging is done. And so the request is to go across the state in the representative areas on the commission and ask, as in our El Paso County area, that citizens, participants in our community that have a focus on the policies that impact older adults, thereby impacting our communities, that we be engaged. And the 5 areas of focus are age-friendly. And during the last probably, 6 months, we have really solidified a strength between the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging, perhaps better identified as an alignment, and the age-friendly work in the Pikes Peak region. So I do attend those meetings. I think that the information will be helpful to us, but I think it's also an area that our region can give statewide impact. The second is the healthcare. Previously, that had been focused on mental health, and Penny One from Park County is a contributing member to that. The health committee is now expanded to include all health. Workforce will continue to be a working committee, and the focus will continue to be the 50-plus workforce. The other areas that they are looking at, and one area that they have actually expanded and added, is looking at long-term care support systems, particularly focusing on the importance of person-centered care. So the representatives in our region that have this area of expertise, that will be a new opportunity to engage in state conversation. And then, as Aaron alluded to, economic stability. Certainly that overlaps with multiple regions, but that will be a new area of focus for community participation. So I would say, in light of the economic shortcomings, both at the state and within our community, engagement and actively supporting action steps is probably where we all can put meaningful focus. Thanks.
Thank you, Penny. That was a great report. Does anybody have questions for Penny? No, that was great information. Thank you. The next is Jody giving us the report from the PPACG Board of Directors.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was a busy meeting last week, and so I'm going to highlight a few areas of both presentations and action items that came about with last week's Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments Board of Directors. So many of you may be familiar with the name Sally Clark, former city council member as well as a county commissioner. She now holds the state office for the U.S. Department of Agriculture here in the state of Colorado, and she provided a presentation specifically related to their rural programs, and these are grants, loans, and that kind of thing, and some of the community infrastructure and programs available in rural communities. And so if you have any questions about that or would like a copy of that information, just let Melissa or myself or Jared know. We can get you a copy of that. There's been ongoing discussion around the CDOT 10-year plan projects, and that came back to the Board of Directors, was unanimously a recommendation of approval for that 10-year plan. It's important to understand that that's CDOT, of course, is our interaction with CDOT from the transportation side is around roads and that kind of thing. And so that's one of our departments that received that we're doing some of those presentations alongside CDOT. The board also reviewed some state and federal legislative items. I won't attempt to give Jared's presentation over again. He does such a good job of it and keeps it very concise. The one area that I'm really excited to share with you, though, that we were also able to bring to the Board of Directors because it did go through the process, and thank you for following along with us with the appropriate process to bring the white paper that Steve and Phil produced to the legislative subcommittee. And so we do appreciate you following along with us with those with that process that we have to go through. But it did go to the legislative subcommittee. There were a couple of recommendations, really just narrowing that down from the effectively 3 pages, 1.5 pages, double-sided, to bring that down to a single page. And so we appreciate that that engagement there as well. But they did pass it as the new version was created. They did pass it. The idea behind this is so that this allows us to be proactive anytime the homestead tax exemption may come up before legislators. We can be proactive and not wait again through our process, because as some of you who may have walked alongside us even in this most recent process, it can be a little bit of a weighty process. And so this gives us the all clear, whether staff, you all as commission members or our board of directors members can provide testimony, can speak to legislators, answer questions and that kind of thing, and engage with our legislative process and be able to advocate now related to the homestead tax exemption should it come up in our, not just in this special session, which we're not anticipating. We do have a strong lobbying group who communicates very well with us and has deep experience in the JBC process. And as of right now, they do not anticipate the senior homestead property tax exemption to be part of the current special session budget discussion. But we will need to keep an eye on that. And by going through this process and getting it approved now allows us to move rather swiftly. So thank you to everyone who had a hand in that. Phil, you're in the room, so I'll look at you and thank you very much for your work with Steve. Steve gave great update and information at the time of the board meeting. And I don't think there are really a whole lot of questions, just a couple of comments from the board members. And so we tag team. Jared kicked it off because it was part of his legislative update, handed it off to me, and I introduced Steve. And so it went really well, and they've approved this for future work. So we're very happy to be able to do that as well. A couple of things just from a board of directors side and PPACG overall. We're at that time of the year where we're starting to work on our 2026 budget. For those of you who may not know, across PPACG, we work on multiple budget years, fiscal years. Within AAA, I work under 5 fiscal years. So it gets exciting sometimes. And so our PPACG fiscal year is a January 1. And so we're starting to talk now around our overall budget and planning. And because of that, we're also starting a new strategic plan to update our current strategic plan process. And so we'll be working on that with our Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments Board of Directors members as well. Let's see here. One other area that is currently under discussion and in the works from within PPACG, there was a workshop after the board meeting, a workshop presented by our transportation staff around reauthorization of the federal transportation bill that Congress will be reviewing over the next year. And so there's just a lot going on within the Council of Governments and as we begin planning. One very important area that I had in this last board meeting was a presentation on the kind of wrapping up how we were able to manage our funding allocations for this current state fiscal year 26 that we are now in. Some of you may recall a while back, probably around February, March or so, I was sharing that because of the uncertainties within our state and federal funding, the state had directed us to adjust our contracts by 25%. We're already working pretty lean as it is. Our providers are working from a fairly lean budget, but because of the uncertainty of funding at the federal level, the state can only accommodate up to commit to up to 75% of the average of the previous 3 years' allocations. Say that 3 times fast. It makes sense if you stop and think about it for a minute. But we had to take that average and ask all of our contracted providers to adjust their budgets, and we adjusted their allocations to represent 75% of what they received July 1 of 2024. In so doing, had the state budget changes been more drastic, had the federal budget changes been more drastic, the state would have still committed, under that process, would have committed to providing funding up to 75% of the previous year's allocations. Fortunately, this allowed us to continue moving forward with our contract process, working with our providers, doing our planning, doing all the things necessary to ensure that our providers could start with a July 1 contract date. We're able to do that because our board of directors allows us to work under what we call contingency voting, and effectively allows us to plan, continuing to move forward, knowing that at the end of the day, we're going to come back for a final vote with real numbers. They have been very generous and accommodating with us over the last several years to ensure that we can meet a July 1 contract date, meeting our state obligations, our federal obligations, and our obligations to our contracted providers. So we're very fortunate in that regard, but it is quite a layered system, to say the least. This presentation that I provided was a closeout of that process that showed that not only did our providers accommodate that 75% request, but the state, due to concerns across the state network, the State Unit on Aging went back to the state and said, okay, we'll do that. But instead of waiting to the carryover process, which is typically around November, we would like to issue an option letter for the real numbers, the true up of all the contracts, as soon as we receive that notice from the feds. And the state said, yes, you may. So we had a contract we signed a contract on June 30th for effective July 1 start date. And by July 3rd, just 3 days later, we had our option letter for our true up amounts, which allowed us to go back under contract amendments and bring our providers back up to 100% of their first year contract rates. So we're very proud of that process because it's complex. Our staff worked hard on that. Melody Hannah, who is my associate director, but also our contracts administrator, along with our finance team, before the end of July, all contracts were up to date, back to their 100% level. Now, overall, though, we lost funding this year. We lost nearly $104,000 in our overall contract. So we adjusted our programs and funding allocation to enable our providers to have 100% of their original contract. So we right now effectively are running at a deficit. We will do that makeup when that federal carryover funds come back to us in November. This allowed our providers to not have to cancel services, fire staff, reduce staff, whatever language you'd like to use. But this allowed them to continue moving forward with their planning and their service provision. And so, again, very fortunate to work with amazing staff and team members across our council of governments, as well as the Area Agency on Aging and our board of directors, which allow us to be somewhat flexible to be a little creative within reason to make sure that we are accommodating our contractors. In so doing, we can continue to serve our community in the best way that we can. So a long way to say that I gave that update, a couple of great comments. We were very pleased to hear that from our board of directors, but with a final vote, it did have to be a closeout. Well, it was an information item on this because the work had been done and we had let them know this was coming. So very good report, though. But again, I want to highlight the interaction, the coordination, and the collaboration of our staff members. It was hard for our providers to hear this request. It was a request, but it was mandated from the state. So, it was just something that we had to do. But they did a great job, and our providers are now, like I said, back to 100% of their first year's contract for this second year. So we will continue moving forward. We are already working on our next contract. RFPs will go out this fall. And we'll start it all over again. So thank you very much. If there are no questions, that's the end of my report today.
Any questions for Jody? That was a lot, too. Okay, next is chair report. And honestly, what I was going to share has all been talked about, except for the ice cream social, which I'm going to let Kathy talk about when we get to our work groups. So Melissa had sent out a good work email and thanking everyone who was out there doing things in between our meetings. And one was the great handout brochure that Phil and Steve put together, and that was approved by the PPACG board. The next was the two appointments we're waiting on the town of Monument to appoint Aaron number 2, but the Teller County went ahead and appointed Bob Foster to be a part of our commission, and we're excited about that. And then Carolyn, and her time with Penny up at the tractor pull in Lake George. It's exciting for me to sit here and see a board that is just overflowing, first of all, with commissioners that have a heart for this community and beyond. And it just really is. I'm like speechless, because when I started, there were a handful of people and we didn't know which way was up. And this commission, it's just amazing to see the work that we're doing and the direction we're going. And I know Jody and Melissa are shaking their heads too. It's just, I mean, we're bigger than we've ever been, and it just seems like the sky's the limit. So I'm very grateful to each of you and excited for what's ahead for this commission. All right. Next, our presentations. I think we're going to save you, Penny, till we get down to the age-friendly discussion items. So we'll go into working sessions and work groups. Enhancing digital access. That was Dayton and Aaron. Aaron, do you have anything to report out for that group?
The report from the digital access group is that it is all in alignment with what's going on at the state in terms of funding, because the digital access work in the state was funded directly by a federal program that has been, the funding has been cut and taken back from states. And so there is still a group meeting at the state level, and the people who were employed there have a short life left in their contracts at the state level. And so we're looking at, how to continue forward with the focus on digital access without a team at the state leading it, and without having had the opportunity to set up a lot of local work groups. There was a work group based in Denver, and there is work being done around the state with CSU Extension, and there's work being done around the state with the good work that Dayton does at Oates, based in Denver. And we just didn't have quite the energy, the focus to get something kicked off in Southern Colorado. And so when I think about, what we can do for digital access, I continue to encourage all of my partners who work in tech to think about what they need to do to keep people connected to resources and apps. The digital access is 3 things. It's having a device, knowing how to use it, and having access to the internet. And we're talking about broadband. And when I say knowing how to use a device, not just know how to use it, but know how to use it safely, so that we're not opening ourselves to financial fraud risk when we are just getting connected to the internet for the first time. And it really is going to take all of us, no matter what we're doing, no matter what hats we wear, no matter where we go to work, no matter where we go to church, no matter where we go to school, we are going to have to think about people in our community who don't have access and what they might need. Does it could mean a church group volunteering to teach people how to use computers. It could mean a university focused on handing over updated equipment to non-English speaking rural community members who need a resource to get access to the internet for the first time. And so as we're losing sort of the focused messaging of digital access, I don't want it to go away. And it is still so important to the work that we do for aging and aging in rural communities and aging in the Pikes Peak region in general. So for now, the work that I've been doing, I'm kind of waiting and watching to see what will happen with our community partners, to see what the potential is and where the possible next steps could be. And hopefully we'll have, small baby step updates throughout the year, but a lot of, the really, really good momentum, the really good energy, the really good support networks across the country are even kind of at a halt right now, while organizations from government to local grassroots and nonprofits are scrambling, trying to reorganize what's possible with the loss of funding.
Thank you, Erin. This is Jody. One of the areas of the USDA rural outreach does include technology work. And so I've passed that information on to Melissa. Might be worth taking a look at to see if it may be applicable for some of the program planning, and see just what that kind of grant might provide.
Absolutely. So that's a grant?
That's my understanding. I handed it right off after last week's board meeting, so we'll have to dig into it, but just want to let you know that we were in possession of that information, specifically from Sally Clark's presentation around the USDA rural programs.
And I did
Okay.
look in, I have looked into that, and there are some interesting things there. And I can forward that on to Erin, also to Penny in Park County, as well as Commissioner Amy Mitchell. And I don't know that Teller County will be eligible for any of those things. It's low population density places that are eligible, but I definitely saw a couple of things there that I thought might be interesting to share with those particular people and see what they think. Some of it is what's been talked about a lot when Commissioner Amy Mitchell was with us, and also then on the RAC side with a gentleman by the name of Bill Bowles, where they were always up in Park County talking about needing to build out the infrastructure for digital access and to have access to money to, bring in the broadband. And so that's some of the money that's available, is to do that. And so anyway, I will be sharing that on with those folks in the very near future. And there was one interesting piece to it as well around housing. There's some pretty significant money available to talk about housing initiatives in rural areas, but you have to have 100% match. So if you ask for $50,000 to do something, you have to have $50,000 non-federal dollars to match that. So, there's an opportunity there, but I think it's also really hard. I don't know how rural communities, find that match. And, you could go up to $250,000. So that's a nice ask for a grant, but then they have to have, the project is a $500,000 budget, $250,000 from USDA, but then $250,000 still within their budget to be matching that, and it can't be from federal funding. So, but interesting things. And if anybody else wants to kind of take a look at USDA and what they have, I'll be happy to forward it out to everybody, because it's really easy to look at, really well put together, kind of interesting. So.
Yeah. Would you please make sure that Dayton gets that as well, because we can look at that together. And I'm almost wondering if we should, when would be a good time to talk about maybe, I don't know what the right word is, dissolving the group, about a different, like putting digital access into work of all the work groups kind of together. Like, what does tech integration look like for housing? What does tech integration look like for caregiving? And what does it mean if people don't have access to the digital world? Because that is the way that I see a lot of the work going, is that no one's focusing on it specifically anymore. I mean, not to say no one, but it's sort of moving towards, well, we can't focus on it specifically, so let's hand these pieces over. And I think that we would find more forward momentum with goals that were more attainable if we shift the focus of that group. And it's probably a bigger question, and I certainly want to talk to Dayton about this because I haven't talked to him about it yet. But maybe in September we can talk about what it would look like if we spread the digital work across the other groups, and then we find something that's a little bit more feasible and more attainable with the current moment.
I think that's a good idea. I do see the overlap with all the groups. So I think that's worth the discussion, Erin, for sure.
Let's
Thank
add that to, thank you, Erin. Let's add that as a discussion item to the next executive committee planning meeting. And then because that would require a vote of the membership, so we can put that on a future agenda.
Okay, next is the age-friendly housing and transportation. That would be Phil.
Well, again, I give Steve great kudos. He did the bulk of the work on that homestead exemption informational flyer. And I really do not have much of a report today. Steve and I will meet again in September. However, number 9 under discussion items, we will talk about the collaboration with Age Friendly and Pikes Peak COA.
Great. All right, next is strengthening caregiver supports and services. Carolyn?
Thank you. Schedules are not fun, but I'm excited to share that I think we've landed on a trial standing meeting time. So that was a big lift. And we'll be meeting tomorrow at 2:00. And I think we have a good number of RSVPs. So I think we'll get some traction going on this group. And tomorrow we hope to, finalize our mission statement and refine our goals so that we have some measurable goals to report back out on for next month. I do see the tech overlap too. One area that immediately came to mind was around, there's a lot of work going on around shared portal access, because so much of healthcare is done with patient portals now, and caregiving, particularly in regional areas, a lot of that care partner support comes from a distance, and being able to access those portals, as I think really ties into the care partner or the caregiver work. I'm also excited to share a report that Kent had shared to me, just did some fabulous work after our full board meeting presentation. Was it last month? Yeah, with the JAWS presentation and the students. And Ken really had that aha moment that there's a potential to spread that work beyond long-term care facilities to the home care and hospice environment. And he just took that ball and ran with it. So he shared that they had another meeting this morning, and I'm not sure what the date of that would be. Was it yesterday? At the Office of Total Care Connections, and there were 10 to 11 persons present. The exciting part is that these are competitors coming together on this issue. Talem Home Care, Home Instead, Total Care Connections, Advantage Home Care and Hospice, and Sage's Elder Care were present, along with the following individuals representing JAWS: Penny Whitney, Catherine, who's a student, Kimberly Humphrey with UCCS, student Lily, and Jess, who's the District 8 representative. Everyone agreed to continue moving forward with the expansion project, and the goals will be to, number 1, expand student awareness of what long-term care looks like at the home care and hospice level in order to pique interest in expanding the workforce options at that level. And the other goal will be to work at expanding the program at both the high school and college level. And the third goal is for JAWS to be a more visible entity in increasing public awareness through the program that long-term care also includes the home care and hospice workforce. And Kent shared that with me because his subcommittee is caregiving, and he sees this as having a direct and positive impact on caregivers, both professional and family members who are providing long-term care in the home. So really exciting work. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Penny, to share a little more about next steps.
Thanks. It actually was pretty incredible. Thinking back to last month, you might remember the two JAWS students that just did a brief update on how they got involved in areas that they continue working with. And Kent said, good work, ladies, but you've got the low-hanging fruit. Let's look at what home health or home care, the non-medical, can look like. He immediately found 5 providers. We met within a week. They said, yes, we think there is a fit. And the culminating brainstorming meeting was yesterday. I think that probably I had 2 remarkable takeaways. First of all, was the student that attended yesterday had not been able to attend. I hadn't seen her for a month. She was part of the leadership of a narrative project at Liberty Heights. The professional transformation of this young, committed leader was remarkable. She went from, when I met her a year ago in her senior class, from someone that was sort of downcast, faded away, soft-spoken. She was on point. She commanded and spoke with confidence about why students are interested in learning about working with older adults, and very eager to engage in the home care community. So I think what JAWS is providing students is not only opportunity for learning, but opportunity for leadership. So thank you all for the opportunity last month of students to come. And we see, because of that meeting, they're getting additional opportunities. The outcome yesterday, significant, having a CTE instructor there saying, yes, we will work District 8, Fountain Fort Carson. We will work with home care providers to develop a 15-hour internship in addition to a capstone project that can provide some sort of opportunity for students that have focused on residential long-term care to have whatever that experience is going to be, to learn about the growing need of home health care. The collaboration between, as Carolyn said, competitors, but also the school system and students, I think is really pretty remarkable. And so stay tuned. The narrative project that McKenna and Esme talked about and the volunteer project are going forward. We will have narratives to showcase in October, and home health will be a narrative place that the students are going to do narratives focusing on workers, why I work in older home health environments. So thanks to you, because it was in this room that the whole thing started. So thank you.
Well, and I personally just get so excited about this work. A number of years ago, I was a nursing home administrator for a rural community in Ohio. And I tell you, one of my best nurses started off as a high school student, coming in as did our nursing assistant training program, literally because she didn't know what she wanted to do with her life. And in a rural community, we were one of the larger employers, so it's somewhere she went. But she just fell in love with working with older adults, went on and became an LPN and an RN and a nurse leader in the facility. There's nothing more important I think we can do than help people understand the rewards of working with older adults.
And just building on that, yesterday, a lot of the conversation was, how do these entry-level jobs help support students in learning for career pathways? And most of the students that come through the JAWS program think, realistically or not, that they will end up as physicians. But not one of them has said, there is nothing I can learn as a high school student working in the world of long-term care that is not going to transfer to any professional engagement in healthcare that I end up doing. That was a huge part of the conversation. So not only are you getting entry-level workers in, but you're helping to prepare them for wherever they might go. I would agree, Carolyn, is really exciting.
I mean, you could see journalism careers coming out of doing the Legacy Project or video, videotaping some of it. It's lots.
On the entertainment agenda, the narrative group is positioning themselves for a Friday night opening at an art walk venue sometime. So just wait. I mean, we can do this is pretty amazing. Now, hold us accountable, but it's amazing.
Thank you so much, Penny.
Thank you.
I think that's all I have for caregiving or care partnering.
Great. Thank you, Carolyn and Penny. It's exciting stuff. It's great. Next is Kathy, and to share with us about the social engagement and inclusion. We've got an event coming up a week from Saturday. And Kathy, if you're talking, we cannot hear you. You're unmuted, but we cannot hear you.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Oh. Kathy, are you on the call?
A storm just blew through here in Bailey and took out everything.
Penny, you're off the hook. We're trying to reach Kathy.
I know, Kathy, I wasn't on her last email list, and we discussed that on Saturday, and she put me on the list, and I'll be there tomorrow for the 2:00 meeting, and I'll definitely work on getting you a good update also.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait to see if Kathy can get service or get back on the meeting. Just so everyone knows, there is a social engagement and inclusion event that this group has been putting together with Kathy's leadership, and it will take place on August 30th from, help me with the 4:30? Yeah, is it 4:30? At 4:30, and it is at what is the address? I don't know the name of that park.
It's the Circle Drive Mobile Home Park.
The Circle Drive, it's right directly across from Harrison High School. And it's our first event for this working group to encourage people to come out of their units and to engage with neighbors, and there'll be ice cream and discussion and just help them get to know their neighbor. It sounds like there's a good core of people that are the cool kids over there, and then there's a lot of people that do not come out at all. And so the hope is to encourage social engagement within that community and then recreate this event throughout El Paso County and into Teller County so that we can help people know that social engagement is a thing, and it's not as scary as people think it is, and just start connecting people. I think we'll have flyers there that we have on the table here in the meeting room, and we will have yellow books. And Penny, do you have anything else to offer?
No, I think that there's great enthusiasm from the participants and the team members from the mobile home park. And it's just being billed as an opportunity to talk and have fun and build community, because it was brought to our attention that within even a relatively small neighborhood, people are not connected, and that sometimes that leads to not such good consequences.
They talked about a neighborhood watch program possibly getting started. They talked about people they had not seen in days, and then having the ambulance show up, and some said that even a neighbor had passed away, and nobody missed them, nobody called on them, nobody checked on them. So there is a need for, check on your neighbor and just know what's happening around you. Yeah, lots of ideas from that group, lots of potential action items for them to take on. And I think this will be a good start for them to get going in the right direction. So if I know it's a holiday weekend, I don't know who can be there. I know Penny is going to be there, and ice cream will be provided, and we'll just see how it goes. So, Kathy, are you back? Kathy, we still can't hear you, Kathy. I don't know if you heard us and our report. I hope that was okay. And Aaron, were you talking?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Kono is connected to that, or the work of the city when they tried to have all those neighborhood parties last year.
Connected to this event?
Yeah.
No, they're not. This is an event provided and created from our working committee.
I'm wondering, the city had they were so engaged. It's such an important program for the city last year. They worked with Kono on having neighborhood parties. I think of exactly what you were just talking about. They would probably be interested in knowing that that's happening. I don't know if they're doing it again this summer. Does anybody know?
I don't. The problem with letting them know about this one, we could possibly let them know about future ones. The mobile home park people said it would be better if this was not open to the public, just because of the management in the park. Would not want people from really outside coming, although we are going to advertise it a little bit. Yeah, and as far as these aren't really neighborhood parties, these are community gathering events to really talk to the people about what social engagement and inclusion really is, and address social isolation, and how they, as the people experiencing social isolation, or those experiencing social engagement and inclusion, can meet in the middle somewhere and really see how they can encourage each other to participate and get out and get active, or get engaged with their neighbor who might not be willing to participate or talk.
From what I understand, this is exactly, you are describing what they were trying to do last year in the city. It might be a good idea to, just connect with them and see where the alignment is there, because with that kind of partnership, I don't know if they're doing it again, but they might have like good
Okay,
on
yep.
or they might have like a resource book or a toolkit.
Yep, we'll definitely
Did
do
anybody,
that.
I didn't attend one in my neighborhood. Did anybody here on this commission go to one, or with anybody involved with that planning?
This is Jody. We had we had multiples in our neighborhood. The one that we attended, a trailer of equipment was provided, everything from yard games to cookout equipment was provided as part of that. I wasn't on any of the planning, so I don't know any of the background portion of that, but it was a really great resource to access equipment and supplies that that may not be available. As to your other point or question, Aaron, I do not know if the city continued that initiative this summer. I think there was some general, hey, if you met last year, you should do that again this year. But I don't think it was quite as strong a push as it was last summer.
And one question I would have is the sponsorship. Where did the food come from? Who paid for? Yeah, so that would be a question, because this is just our working committee.
There was no funding from the city or from Kono. Everything had to be done independently in the neighborhoods.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, we'll reach out. We'll reach out, and I'm hoping Kathy is hearing all of this, and I'll touch base with her. I'll touch base with her afterwards. All right. Moving on. We have our age-friendly and Pikes Peak Commission on Aging Collaboration and Alignment presentation. That's Penny Whitney.
Thank you. One of those older people that do not know how to use technology effectively. Aaron, this actually might connect what you were talking about and maybe provide a link with the PPCOA social connections group. If you remember back, I don't know, probably in March, we talked about, and it actually went back to the fall of last year, that Courtney Brown, who was the strategic planning lead for the city, I had the opportunity to meet her at an age-friendly UCCS event, actually never expecting her to say, yes, I would go. But it was at that event that her energy and excitement, knowing what was going on at the city level with city priorities and all of the focus on community engagement, that she bought into the importance of the age-friendly work. And it was really through Courtney's ability to facilitate that the work that you did, Aaron, with innovations in aging was able to be resurfaced at a community convening in March. And it was out of that, several people on the commission were there, that it was decided that it really was important to continue to focus on the work that had been done and culminated with you in innovations in aging with that 5-year plan, 2023 to 2028, to help revitalize it, re-energize it. So what Courtney shared, she has now moved on from the city of Colorado Springs. She is the deputy city manager for strategic planning in Commerce City. And that's a transition that has taken place since the end of July. But one of the last things that she did for the Community Connections Age-Friendly group was to do a synthesis of the listening sessions that the city did across the different 6 regions. And I think, I'm not sure specifically, you would know better, Erin, that this is aligned with the initial work that was done last summer. So these are Courtney's slides. The important thing, I think, the takeaway is that we do need to stay connected to the city. We need to stay connected to the county and to the state. With Courtney's leaving, there has been a person that has accepted her position as a temporary position. As she describes, she's drinking from a fire hose. So we're going to have to be very, very intentional about how we align and communicate with the city. But Courtney has assured all of us that that is going to be extremely important. So these are slides, a little bit of background, but again, I think it's just the synthesis, the collaboration that Jody was talking about. So the report overview is actually focusing on those 6 district feedback sessions that they had that the city had the earlier part of the year, plus a town hall telephone. And out of those feedback sessions, and there you have the map of the city distribution of the 6 regions, there were about 3,000 people that participated with the following areas of priorities. Notice that across the city, in all of these listening sessions, public safety, infrastructure, and housing came across as the key concerns, taking on the specific nuances of the regions. One of the things that Courtney did for us is that she pulled out the responses using AI to focus on the age-friendly. So as age-friendly was reconvened, 8 domains were shrunk into 3 domains, knowing that it was going to be impossible to have manpower, volunteer manpower for 8 domains. And this brings up another point, Erin, that you identified, digital access. So the digital access component of age-friendly was collapsed into, as a communication component, into the social engagement. So I think it speaks to how do we figure out how to integrate the digital component into the work areas that are most appropriate. So the synthesis of information versus the deployment. So these were the key areas that related to the 3 age-friendly work groups that are the same age-friendly work groups that we have with the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging. Health and wellness, emergency response was a key area. Unmet mental health needs, and the intensity and the focus goes across neighborhoods. It will look different in different neighborhoods. So as you, Carolyn, look at the health and wellness, emergency response, and unmet mental health needs, and then the breakout, and Melissa will be able to forward the more detailed report with today's meeting notes. For housing, and this will be part of your discussion, Phil, unmet affordability needs. And this probably becomes a part of the really big puzzle, not only locally, but at the state level. The lack of housing options and displacement and instability. Again, it's going to be, the nuances are going to be different, but those are the threads across the entirety of our community. And then for us on social connections, the disappearing community spaces. There was a lot of concern about losing libraries, and Penny and Park County reinforces the important role of libraries in being able, particularly for digital access, to have sort of a center space. The digital divide limits engagement. So there again, Erin, we have that focus that was really identified specifically. And then the inaccessibility and irrelevance of civic participation. The area that this really caused me to think about was irrelevance of civic participation. For our social engagement group, I think that's one that we can certainly focus on. In the spirit of continuing to be present as a commission at city events, know the people in the city, Courtney shared these sort of put on your calendar list. The State of the City presentation, which is scheduled for the end of September, I think the 26th or something like that. It's a breakfast. She said, make every effort to be there. It is accessible virtually as well as the larger event that's held at the Broadmoor. Older resident town halls. Courtney said that 2 have been scheduled. We need to get more details on this, but one is at Sierra Vista on Fontmore over on the west side. Phil will know where that is probably. Another is at Mackenzie Place. One of the questions that came, are there places that are not living communities where public can go? And so Tom Lathrop said he would again, volunteer the senior center to be one of those where people could come to collaborate, not necessarily having it in a specific space limited living area. So we probably need to see where those will be held and be present in October. Courtney said the budget is something that for our age friendly, our Commission on Aging, we need to be very attentive to. The city is looking at about, and Jody, you would know this better than I for sure, $11.5 million shortfall, something it's significant. So there's not going to be money. And I think it goes back to the same thing that we heard from the State Commission on Aging. Action, engagement, involvement from individual people is going to be what carries us through this time of new uncertainty. And then looking at the October date, the November date for the budget process, staying in tune with our city council people, and just plan on how can we get input for the public meetings. The steering committee, the age-friendly steering committee, it's pretty much open to anybody that would say, yes, I'm interested. But the advice from Courtney's experience at the city is for the steering committee to continue to look at low-cost, high-impact solutions. As we look at each of our 3 areas, what can those be? Advanced interdepartmental partnerships. How can we do it independently within the community? Is there a way that we can help support that interdepartmental partnershiping at the city level and probably the county level? Reframe activization and connection as resilience. That being connected, being involved is actually a civic opportunity for community resilience. And then be really innovative and creative in looking at external funding, because it's not going to be coming from perhaps sources that might have been expected from the past. This is just her last word: stay connected and stay on track. So I think that is probably the action call that we can take with us. What is being what is defined as staying connected, and we can define what being on track is. So I think, Melissa, what this does is re-energizes the alignment and the importance of the collaboration with Age Friendly and our Commission on Aging. And I know there are further discussions to be had about that.
So I think I want to segue, people might have some comments about this, but I also want to make sure that we take a minute and acknowledge that as part of this, there was the meeting to merge and kind of combine the alignments of the housing work groups that are happening in the community. And so I don't know if Phil, maybe you might want to make a comment about how that went in terms of Age Friendly and the housing groups kind of coming together.
Thanks, Melissa. We did meet here. David Lord brought us together. Chris Lewis with Habitat for Humanity, and then Christopher Paulton were here. And long and short of it is combining our efforts, and possibly Steve and I in the housing subcommittee for this group starting to meet with and collaborate with Chris and Christopher, and of course David. And then coincidentally, today, right before this meeting, David sent out an email that I happened to catch real quick about some dates that we might meet again, one at the end of September and then two in October, sort of working around his travel schedule for our group to meet again and figure out if we can collaborate when it makes sense, and if Pikes Peak Commission on Aging is in a position that we don't want to float this up the channel or are unable to let Age Friendly do it.
Go ahead, Erin.
I want to say thank you, Paula. That was such Penny, Paula and Penny. Thank you, Penny. That was such a fantastic presentation. It's really good to see the work that Courtney was able to get done while she was still at the city. I'm so sad to hear that she has left, because she was such a champion for the work. Do you know, so one question I have is, do you know the person who's stepping in for her?
I know the name of the person. I do not know the person. It is Kim George, I believe. She may be with the city from IT, but I'm not positive on that, but I can get it.
Yeah, she's actually, she would be a really good person, because she is involved in other smart cities projects. So she's really familiar with this Age Friendly Colorado Springs and the smart cities projects. And then the other thing that I would encourage, whoever steps into this role next, is to be really to put something after Age Friendly, because Age Friendly is just an adjective. And there are 5 age-friendly ecosystems. It's hospitals, public health, universities, communities, and employers. And so if we're just saying age-friendly, I think that people get kind of lost in the sauce. So if we can encourage people to say age-friendly communities, and then also be really specific about age-friendly Colorado Springs, that was something that the county was sensitive to when we were working on our strategic plan. and something that the city was very sensitive to. They didn't want it just to be age-friendly Pikes Peak. They were really specific that it had to be age-friendly Colorado Springs. Now, also with the caveat that I don't know if the city is really that, if they're not giving any money to it anymore, if they mind one way or another, if we just call it age-friendly Pikes Peak. And that's probably not a question for right now, but I'm wondering if it might, like, is the group that is working on carrying on the strategic plan from 2023, are you guys talking about Pikes Peak versus Colorado Springs versus El Paso County?
I think, Erin, the steering committee only meets every quarter. So I think that is probably, as it continues to formalize what it can do, what it can't do. I think the language that is associated and how's the group, because it is a volunteer group, positioned. I think that's an absolutely important part of future conversations, but it has not been something that's been on the table right now.
Okay, thank you. Now my brain is like going like a million miles a minute about like what the future can be with Courtney stepping away. But thank you. That was a good presentation. Do we have access to this slide deck? Did it come out in our materials?
I'll send it out. It didn't come out in the materials, but I'll forward it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Courtney said use it however people want to use it. So I think absolutely.
Great. There's item B, Pikes Peak Commission on Aging Growth and Community Presence for 2026. Melissa?
I think this is just kind of a continued acknowledgement of all of the different types of opportunities that we have being presented to the Commission on Aging, and thinking about the fact that we have roles with our executive committee, we have chair, vice chair, membership, looking at kind of the roles of what those three positions are going to be doing in the upcoming year. A reminder to the folks on our committee that Paula will, not be able to be chair going forward, kind of thinking about who we might want to have in those roles going forward, because we do have new commissioners that are coming on. And then this kind of collaborating with Age Friendly in the way that we are, kind of how that might look, and what the roles of those three positions will have going forward. So I think this is just kind of an opportunity to be kind of thinking about that as the commission and what the community presence looks like. So just something that has come up and be thinking about as we look at needing people to fill those roles.
Great.
So coming up, starting in January.
Thank you for that. So we can continue that discussion in upcoming meetings. Are there any member entity announcements for the group?
I think I want to, so I see some other mics lighting up here, but I do want to emphasize that next week is busy and I am not here. And so we have the ribbon cutting for the Colorado Springs Senior Center, and I've had 3 Commission on Aging members request to be kind of present there at that time, and potentially visiting and hanging out a little bit at the PP AAA table. So I'm going to be sharing that with our staff who are manning that table. We have Wanda, Kent, and Carolyn who are interested in spending some time at the table in case there are Commission on Aging questions, and just to be there. and also Debbie from our Regional Advisory Council. So there are 4 of our wonderful volunteer Commission on Aging and RAC members who want to kind of be hanging out at the ribbon cutting next week. So I'll share that information with our staff to be prepared for that. That ice cream social then happens the very next day. And thank you, Penny and Kathy, for working on that. And I know Penny's going to be there for sure. I know Kathy is struggling with her wheelchair, getting it fixed. She has a broken wheelchair, so she's hoping that she'll be able to be there. But I'm going to send materials with Kathy or with Penny today. And so the Senior Resource Council, I just wanted to share an update from them. They are starting to put together educational presentations as part of the Senior Resource Center work. I was hoping we might have a little bit more time to talk about that today with other people who do things with the Senior Resource Council, but I don't think we have time for that. So I'm going to let that one go. And I think, Jody, did you want to say something when I was jumping in?
No, that's all right. Just wanted to share, I'll also be there at the Senior Center ribbon cutting. It's very exciting as a former Senior Center director. There in that new building is very exciting to experience that. So there will be a presentation from several members from the city, as well as myself and other former former Senior Center directors. And so please come on out. Today was a grand opening for Silver Key for their new monument collaboration there in a church to reopen their programs. Many of you may know that they had to vacate the Grace Best elementary school due to some issues there. Now, and so they are now going to be moving their programs over to the church. That was today. So if you have an opportunity to visit with Silver Key, or if you're in that area, they will be in a new location. So yeah, that's all I had for now.
Any other announcements? Anyone online with an announcement? No, I too will be out of pocket from August 29th through September 9th, and then again September 11th through the 14th. August 29th through September 9th, and then September 11th through the 14th. And then, but I will be here for the meeting. I will not be here for the executive committee meeting. And then September 26th, I will be at pre-wedding day things for my son in Denver. Yay. All right. The next item is our meeting schedule for the upcoming meetings that are already predetermined. Our next meeting is September 17th. Executive committee meeting is open to everyone. And that is always the first Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. And that is virtual. Policy committee meetings are random, to be determined. Working group meetings, most of them have set days and times. And the upcoming PPACG government meeting schedule is always attached to our packet. And I'm sure Melissa has been taking notes for our items for next meeting. Yes? Yeah. And so with that, the meeting is adjourned.